All right, welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome. So in just a second, Trump is completely and utterly falling apart. He's posting some of the most deranged stuff you've ever seen in your life. He cannot stay awake in public during the day. He cannot fall asleep at night. He's getting compassionate use exemptions to get an Eli Lilly weight loss drug for terminal illnesses. Like, he's getting a special exemption under the guise of being terminally sick to take this medicine. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about on that front. I'm going to start with that in just a second. We also have the corruption is so out of control. It's at the point now where it's undeniable. Like, if you are still part of MAGA after hearing all of this stuff, you are just officially cattle. Like, you're just a cattle person. You don't care about facts. You don't care about information. You don't care about actually fixing the country. You are just part of a death cult, and you've made peace with that. So I'll give you all the specifics there. We also have Nick Fuentes accidentally tells the truth and says the quiet part loud when it comes to red states versus blue states. That's a glorious clip you don't want to miss. And we now have central banks issuing dire warnings about a new Great Depression and a global financial crash tied to AI. So you do not want to miss that either. A lot of big stuff today. So you guys know the drill, man. Everybody do me a big favor and subscribe to the channel. That helps out big time and costs you nothing at all. You can also support the show on Patreon. That link is below. Remember, y'all, this is real independent media. I've never talked to an advertiser or done an ad read. I'm very proud of that fact. You guys have made that possible. Without you, it couldn't have been done. So thank you, even everybody who just gives it $1 a month or $2 a month. You also can sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. That link is below as well. And of course, go sub to Corin's World and come hang out with us on Monday nights. All right, y'all, let's go ahead and jump right in. So this keeps happening. As I've been telling you, the part of Trump's brain that regulates his schedule, when to be asleep, when to be awake, the part that regulates circadian rhythm, that part is breaking down. And that is tied to dementia. That is tied to Alzheimer's. That's tied to his increasing age, his cognitive decline. And so as a result of that, he can't keep his eyes open during the day in meetings, even with the cameras running and pointed directly at him. So yet again, in the White House, he fell asleep during an event during the day. Look at this.
Closet. We saw over and over again students being told they can form a club, but not if it's a religious club.
Oh my God.
They can speak to be kept in a closet. We saw over and over.
Now, again, let's remember, he's up all night, tweeting at 3 o'clock in the morning and 4 o'clock in the morning, going after everybody who he perceives as his enemy, even going back to like the 1980s. By the way, he does not go after any of the people who allegedly tried to kill him. Weird. Kind of weird to hold a grudge from 1987, but like people who tried to kill you recently, you got nothing to say about them. So that happens, and then he just can't stay awake during the day. I told you guys on a couple shows ago that now Trump is getting a special exemption under the guise of having a terminal illness to take this. I don't know how to pronounce it. Retratitide or something like that is the name of the drug. It's kind of like Ozempic, except Ozempic on steroids, and it makes you lose weight in more ways than Ozempic makes you lose weight. And so the idea is, and here, this part is speculation, but I've seen people discuss how this is tied to his congestive heart failure. And he needs to rapidly lose as much weight as possible in order to try to keep his heart functioning. It's basically like a last-ditch effort to keep the guy alive while he has congestive heart failure, is the speculation. And there's enough concerning things where I would not rule that out, okay? And that's to say nothing of all the other stuff, the hand rotting away right in front of us, the neck rash. Looks like, again, he's rotting away in front of us, the giant swollen ankles, which they say is chronic venous insufficiency. But again, it was an acute symptom, which makes me think more it's almost certainly tied to congestive heart failure. The mini strokes, the face drooping, all these different issues. And now he's on some sort of last-ditch effort medicine here to try to stay alive, okay? Hiding all of it from us. All right, now he was also crashing out on Twitter. As you can see here, he posted, the USA's, I'm sorry, this isn't Twitter, this is Lie Social, his bullshit platform, Lie Social. The USA's new passport, which says, welcome, but be good, President Donald J. Trump. So he forced his fucking face on passports, which is some of the most narcissistic, dictatorial shit I've ever seen in my life. This man is so self-obsessed, he put his face on fucking everything if he could. He's got big banners on government buildings with his face on it. We become a fucking banana republic. We're the world's first fifth world nation. as I saw somebody say on social media the other day. That strikes me as true. So it's this goofy-ass picture of him looking like he's a toddler standing in the corner shitting in his diaper, okay? But he says, welcome, but be good. Hey, jackass, as Alex Cole points out here, who is he welcoming? Apparently, he doesn't know the difference between a U.S. passport and a visa to enter the country. This man is an idiot. Your passport is for traveling to other countries. Why are you telling us to be good? A passport is for American citizens. You're already an American citizen if you're getting a passport. So what do you mean, welcome, but be good? This is our home. What the fuck are you talking about? We're not the fucking stranger who's visiting. Like, what? Oh my God, he's so stupid. Oh, he's the dumbest person on planet Earth. He was posting this as well. Him at 20 and Barack Obama at 18. And of course, the implication here is supposed to be, look at this strapping, bright young lad in his military uniform, looking all serious and presidential. And look at this thug with a cigarette in his mouth or something he's smoking in his mouth. He looks like somebody who's nothing but trouble. Now, a couple things about this. Number one, Trump was not 20 years old when this picture was taken. He was probably 16 or 17. Number two, he was never in the military. He went to boarding school, and that's what this picture is. But Trump always posted to try to almost head fake and mislead people like he was in the military, even though he got out of going to Vietnam because he had bone spurs. He says he had bone spurs. He also called his personal Vietnam dodging STDs. Stay classy. And here's you and Barack Obama when you were pretty young. Why don't you post one when you guys were in your 40s? Because you would be hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein and raping 13-year-olds, and Barack Obama would be saving the U.S. economy from a depression. Could have posted the 40s. Didn't post the 40s. Now did you? Okay. We also have this. Trump posting, again, I don't think you can get more narcissistic than this. I think we've maxed out on the narcissism scale. This is like megalomania off the fucking charts, okay? It's Donald Trump with an American flag over his shoulder, holding up the world. Now, of course, the irony is he's literally destroying the world right in front of our eyes. Every single decision he makes is a massive fuck you to people who live on this planet. He's destroyed the Clean Water Act. He's destroyed the Clean Air Act. He's letting all these corporations and billionaires pollute as much as they want. He's, of course, kicking 20 million people off their health care. He's waging endless war after endless war after endless war. He's shitting on the Constitution. He's building concentration camps. He's trying to steal elections. And here he is acting like he's the hero to the world. Bro, you are the exact opposite. This man is genuinely a danger to all of us. I need you to understand that. He's a danger to the world. Here he is tweeting that he has all the cards. It says, I have all the cards, and he's holding the Uno cards. As Blade of the Sun points out, Donald Trump tweeted this picture of him holding all the cards in Uno, a game where you win by getting rid of all your cards. So in a weird roundabout way, Trump is actually correct. He does have all the cards, and the game is Uno, which means he's losing. Okay, Iran is absolutely obliterating him, and basically has already won. Trump just hasn't acknowledged it yet. Trump also posted this. Our great national security facility and ballroom is moving along on schedule. When completed, there will be nothing like it anywhere in the world, President Donald J. Trump. Now understand, this is after shit. How many court decisions have there been that said, absolutely not, you have to stop building this ballroom immediately. It's wildly illegal. We are ordering that you stop building it. And here he is bragging that he's creating it. And it says, again, national security facility and ballroom. As I told you, they're trying to build a motherfucking doomsday bunker under that bitch, which should be terrifying to you because why do you feel like you need a new doomsday bunker? It's almost like they're planning to usher in doomsday. Guys, it's very bizarre and very disturbing that the richest people on the planet, think of like Peter Thiel, for example, think of Elon Musk, for example, they all want doomsday bunkers. There was a story the other day, we covered it on the show, that described how at least 2 people inside the Trump regime have contracted with this company to build a doomsday bunker immediately. So these are the people that have all the money, that have all the power, and they're going, oh, it's a wrap. There's going to be societal collapse coming anytime soon. So give me a fucking bunker and let me run away with all my money. Peter Thiel ran for the hills, left this country, seemingly knowing what's coming, right? Giving another 7 lectures on the Antichrist, even though he probably is the Antichrist. Look at this, man. He's saying national security facility and ballroom. In other words, he bragged about there's going to be a hospital under there. He talks about that knowing that he's on the brink of dying and he would need a hospital there. He talks about how we're going to have drones that come out of the roof. Drones come out of the roof. What do you need drones to come out of the roof for in Washington, D.C.? You want to use the drones to blow up people in Washington, D.C.? This is what I'm saying. Like, any one of these things is such a scandal. He should be kicked out of fucking office. He should be impeached immediately. He should be hit with the 25th Amendment for any one of these things. But meanwhile, nobody's even bothering to talk about it at this point because our outrage meter is completely shattered, right? Our outrage meter is broken. There's like 7 scandals per day, worse than Watergate, and people simply can't keep up. All right, so here he is giving a speech, and yet again, he keeps repeating the same thing now. Trump thinks he found a cheat code for the election. Now, of course, he's going to try to steal it, so that's his actual cheat code, is just stealing it. But he thinks, what if I just bring back McCarthyism? What if I just bring back the Red Scare? What if we look at Democratic Socialists winning in New York, and all we do is say, communism, 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 communism. They think that makes it so like, oh, we're good money here. This is like a layup. So here's what he said.
I just can't believe I didn't think of it 9 years ago. I should have thought. The Democrats, they are horrible. They want to resume the transgender mutilization of our children. They want to restart the war on Christians.
He's bragging about coming up with Democrat, okay? So washed is an understatement. And he's bringing up transgender. The word is mutilation, not mutilization, but he keeps saying mutilization of children. Nobody's talking about that. Nobody's doing that. Nobody's talking about that. There are no surgeries for, underage kids. That's not a thing. It's not a thing. But they have nothing. They have nothing. They're doing endless wars. They're raising the price of everything. You can't afford gas. You can't afford groceries. People are losing their jobs. They're losing their health care. He's got nothing he can point to, so it's, did I mention trans kids? Did I mention they're Democrats? Dumb is with a B. Did you know that? It's with a B.
And as you saw with the communists elected in New York City recently, they're communists, they're not social democrats. They want to completely destroy the traditional American way of life. Communism is very easy to sell. It destroys everything, but it's very easy. I'll be honest, I think I'd be the greatest communist in history. I'd give free rent. Ladies and gentlemen, from now on, you don't have to pay any rent. From now on, anybody wants a house, don't worry about it, just pick the house you want. Everybody gets free food. Everything is free from this point forward. Everyone's going to vote for me. The problem is, after 2 or 3 years, the country is a disaster area. The country fails. They always do.
Oh, my word. Oh, no. You cannot tell me. Looking at a country that he is objectively destroying, ripping apart out at the seams, making it so nobody can fucking survive. Basically, 80 to 90% of the country is already in a recession. It's only the super wealthy that are okay. He goes, communism would really destroy things. Communism would really ruin things. As if he's not in the process of doing that right now under capitalism. My favorite memes are when they show something horrible that's happening under capitalism, and it says like, this is what happens under socialism. This is what happens under communism. It's like, no, bitch, that's capitalism. This is capitalism. They act like, could you imagine getting paid for not doing any work whatsoever? How disgusting. Meanwhile, what do you think the whole investor class is doing? What do you think passive income is? Right? Like, that's Wall Street is, that's how they make their money. Wall Street is, we invest, we sit on our ass, and we collect the money. What do you think being a landlord is? I own the property. Okay, I own the property, and now you just pay me, and I'll go sit on my ass somewhere and whine and cry and bitch and moan that I only made $1 million instead of 1.5 million. Okay? Basically, the entire ownership class, the entire capitalist class, the people in the top 1%, they make all their money from not doing dick. Okay? They're not workers. So socialism is an attempt to fix that. Socialism is an attempt, ironically enough, to get us back to some semblance of meritocracy, where it's like the harder you work, the further you go. Where you actually respect working people. Instead, we live in a world where you could have somebody work 3 jobs and not make enough money to survive, but then you could also have somebody like fucking Paris Hilton or whoever who just inherits $1 gazillion and does fucking nothing for it, right? Like, are you kidding me? The biggest welfare queens in the world are people like Elon Musk, who took $38 billion in U.S. tax money to make 12 rockets that exploded instantly, okay, on top of fraud and vaporware that he's engaged in. And here Trump is, communism's so bad. Communism's the worst. Can you imagine getting things for free? Well, by the way, this is basic government functions here too, right? Like the fire department. If your house catches on fire, the fire department comes and puts it out and nobody has to pay anybody anything, right? Roads are free at the point of service. They're paid for with tax money. The VA is free at the point of service. You have Medicare is free at the point of service. There's so many things. Cops, you don't have to, reach into your wallet and pay a police officer for doing their job if you call them and you need help with something. Like, this idea that, like, Literally everything needs to be privatized. Literally everything needs to be subject to market incentives. It's like, this is a fucking virus. This is like a brain virus. This is like a mental disorder. Like, the idea of community is so foreign to people that he rants against this stuff as if, like, everybody should agree with him. Like, could you imagine having some things that are free? Yeah, in a basic civilized society, you would. Everybody would have universal health care. Everybody would have free college. Everybody would have publicly funded infrastructure that's phenomenal. There's places like Vienna, for example, that have social housing. Like, it would be good if we did something like that. But he's acting like, isn't it so terrible? Isn't that horrible? Says the guy who was born into a wealthy family and was granted hundreds of millions of dollars just by virtue of who his dad was.
So easy to sell. That first year, boy, you're the most popular. It's happening right now in New York and California. But you'll start living in squalor.
There's 700,000 people who are homeless in this country, okay? But that actually is a massive undercount because it doesn't include people who are in the first stages of homelessness. Namely, they're couch surfing, for example, or they live in their car, for example. There's so many people who work and are homeless. Let me repeat that. There's so many people who work and are homeless. And this man's going, could you imagine living in squalor? Yeah, bitch, you're creating a country where squalor's everywhere, motherfucker.
No food. There will be no housing. There will be no military.
No food. He says there's no food as he is worsening the climate crisis, which is going to make it so there's no fucking food. So we have drought, we have famine. Oh, my God.
There will be no law and order. There will be no nothing.
No law and order, says the guy who's in the midst of a fucking massive crime spree. He also posted this. It's Hillary, Joe Biden, and Kamala Harris wearing I lost to Trump hats. Now, here's the reality that he will never tell you. Hillary Clinton beat him in the popular vote by 3 million votes. Despite the fact he whines and cries and bitches and moans and acts like that was a historic election victory, Hillary won in the popular vote by 3 million votes. Joe Biden won not only the popular vote, also won the Electoral College. Okay? So it's such the fact he's putting Biden here just shows you this man is so fucking dangerous. This man is incapable of holding an L. He won't even acknowledge he ever lost at golf. He acts like he has 40 some odd club championships. I've seen him hit a ball. He has no motherfucking actual club championships, okay? That man is a 14 handicap through and through, acting like he's a fucking scratch, saying he's shooting 68 when he was in his fucking 70s. Spare me. If you know anything about golf, you know that's garbage, okay? And then he has Kamala with, I lost to Trump. Don't even get me started on that one. Don't even get me started on that one. Don't get me started on Elon Musk. Don't get me started on the investigative journalist Greg Palast and what he found out about that election. Don't get me started on all the misinformation surrounding that. I'm gonna just go look at what Ashley St. Clair said about Elon Musk, and then you get back to me with Elon Musk basically bragging that he intervened in the election. Okay, but he can't help himself. Self-suck-off session, on top of 17 other self-suck-off sessions. This is what Trump does. All right, he's still not done though. Here he is talking about how landlords need to raise your rent because of the cost of energy, and it's going up. Oh my goodness.
Mayor Mamdani, who came to the White House and seems like a nice guy, but he said he was going to do this in his campaign. Nobody thought he was serious. He said he was going to make sure that people don't have a rent increase, even though...
He did. He succeeded. So, how you like them apples?
Energy went up. Mayor Mamdani, who came to the White House and seems like a nice guy, but he said he was going to do this in his campaign. Nobody thought he was serious. He said he was going to make sure that people don't have a rent increase, even though energy went up.
Hey, Don, why did energy go up, you fat pedophile prick? The answer is you. Your illegal war against Iran, leading to a shutdown of the Strait of Hormuz, leading to a massive energy crisis, all because of you and Netanyahu, all because of the axis of Epstein. By the way, I also love the admission of like, nobody thought he was going to do it. People thought he was just campaigning. That's projection there, because that is what he does. He's like, when I said don't do wars, I was just talking shit. I was just campaigning. I'm going to say whatever when I'm campaigning. Doesn't mean I'm actually going to hold true to that. That's how he thinks. He's like, oh yeah, when you're on the campaign, you bullshit, you lie, you tell people what they want to hear. Then you get in power and you do the opposite of that. God, what an admission. I'm telling you, man, went from low filter to no filter. And because of that, we get moments like this. Okay, so now we have Maggie Haberman, who, of course, wrote a book with Jonathan Swan. The name of the book is called Regime Change. And you get a behind-the-scenes look at what's been going on in the White House. And it is absolutely, positively terrifying when you realize truly who these people are behind the scenes. So she says the following. Here we go.
I don't think we can overstate how unrecognizable this term is to last term. But one of the ways is his world, and just in terms of inputs, has shrunk. Decisions are made inside the White House by, a handful of top officials in this government. They are constantly worried about leaks. So the information flow going back out is very limited, let alone coming in. And people are constantly trying to reach Trump on his cell phone and so forth. But his inputs, his news inputs, are so different than before. Yes, he still reads the New York Post. Yes, he reads the New York Times, despite what he says. And yes, he sometimes watches, cable news programs in the morning. But generally speaking, Fox News is it. Fox News is much more supportive of him overall across the board, or at least less critical of him than it was in term one. He's not on Twitter. He used to, and several people said to us, he would go through Twitter in term one and he would see the replies or he would see the trending topics. He doesn't see any of that now. And the algorithm is obviously very different now under Musk's ownership. He looks at Truth Social, where everything, for the most part, is you are fabulous and so forth and so on. He has Natalie Harp, the aide who is often described as a human printer, who sits in a room with him in almost every meeting, almost every senior meeting. She is in more than basically any other major staffer. And she supplies him with a constant stream of positive news. But those positive news pieces are coming from Gateway Pundit or all kinds of other websites. He hears what he wants to hear. And when aides try to push back on him, as they did, and we write about this in the book for months, about you need to talk about affordability. You need to talk about what people are feeling. He doesn't want to hear it.
So that's terrifying. What they're describing here is a sundowning man with dementia who's walled himself off, both physically and mentally, from any sort of criticism whatsoever. He surrounded himself with yes men and yes women. And what happens? He walks around with somebody who prints out articles so he doesn't have to look at his phone to read stuff. I'm not even kidding about this. Prints out articles and hands them to him, and every single one is like North Korean style propaganda from fucking Gateway Pundit or Newsmax or One America News Network or some other fucking psychopath. And Trump sits there and reads all that and acts like, everybody loves me. I'm doing amazing. Everybody loves me. Nobody ever says anything bad about me. I'm so right about everything. This is incredible. And that has warped his perspective. Again, you have to stop and think about this. This man's brain is not functioning anymore. He's rotting away physically and mentally. He's probably has early Alzheimer's, right? And mix that with actually being presented a fucking fairy tale Narnia view of the world that he lives in and his decision making. And this is like a recipe for absolute disaster. This is like atrocious. This is terrifying. He's completely and utterly falling apart right in front of us, and he's completely unaware of it. He's unaware of it. All right, more from Haberman. Here's what she says.
There's two things that we found as we were reporting this book. One is the degree to which he has become so invested in the idea that things always work out for him, and that's been clear to us for some time, but it is truer than ever. And in fact, as he was getting ready to head to war, he said to an advisor who was very concerned about this, it's going to be, I'm paraphrasing, but it's going to be okay. You know how I know? Because it always is.
He also said that to Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson on his show mentioned this is exactly what Trump said to him as well. That it always works out for me. Why? Because this is a guy who's dodged accountability his entire life. Somebody else has always held the L for him. And so he feels like he almost has this metaphysical belief in his own omnipotence now. He views himself as like a demigod. And so now he's like, what do you mean? What's the problem? Well, you fucking asshole. Look at where we're at. Inflation's out of control. Unemployment's out of control. We're on the brink of another fucking Great Depression. We have a massive energy shock that the world is dealing with right now. We have multiple illegal wars that he's waging. We have the ICE crisis where they're building concentration camps and throwing innocent immigrants in there. He's covering for a mass pedophile ring. And he's like, everything always works out. It's great, actually.
Part of why he believes that's true for him is because, as we describe it, he's been, something of a walking moral hazard his whole life, where he takes actions and somebody else holds the bag, whether it was the banks when he was running casinos that were in dire peril, whether it was his legal bills, which his political action committee ended up paying over the course of the last several years, whether it was the fallout from what happened on January 6, 2021, which members of his party faced, and he did to some extent in terms of investigations, but again, he was able to survive those, the indictments there. And now the immunity decision with Iran, the bill is the taxpayers. The bill is service members for the U.S., but he doesn't seem to be responsive to domestic politics the way that he was in term.
That's also terrifying because it's further evidence that they plan on stealing the next elections. When you act like this disconnected, maybe it's because you realize they have no say anymore because of what they plan to do. So he also crashed out at Maggie Haberman. He said the following: based on a very quick and boring briefing concerning the Maggot Hagerman, I think he means Hagerman, book about me, it is mostly made up, fake news, largely fiction, as have been most of the things she has written about me for so many years. She's a third-rate writer and intellect who has made a first-rate income because of your favorite president, me. She was wrong about me on the elections, although she knew I was going to win big. She was wrong about me on the Russia hoax, and she was wrong about me on just about everything else. But she continues to spew out garbage, and people continue to buy it. Remember, I won the election. Big. All 7 swing states. The popular vote. 86% of the counties. And they don't have the audio tapes that they imply they have. Just another Margot Khan job. What? And Iran will never have a nuclear weapon. President Donald J. Trump. Oh my God, his brain is just absolute motherfucking figgy pudding now, bro. You're the most powerful man on earth. And you're crashing out, tweeting about Maggie Hagerman because she wrote a book? Oh my word. We are so done, bro. This country is so completely and utterly done. This man is so pathetic. This man is falling apart at the seams. And it is getting untenable, man. We're watching the rapid decline of an empire. And I don't know what else he would have to do to make that clear to people. I think it's already clear to most people.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
So one of the major Trump scandals about 26 scandals ago was this thing called the Board of Peace. Now, for those of you that don't remember, the Board of Peace, the idea of this thing was, oh, this is actually above and beyond the United Nations, and like it's going to make decisions that impact the world in a positive sense. And the first thing on the agenda, they said, is we're gonna fix Gaza. We're gonna fix the whole Gaza situation. Nobody worry about it. And so the way Trump approached this was he invited a whole bunch of nations, may have invited every nation on earth. I don't remember all the specifics, and then he goes, okay, so to join our Board of Peace, which is above the UN, you got to pay like $1 billion each. What? And so ultimately what ended up happening was you had all of the incredibly backwards, dictatorial, developing nations that just wanted to get in good with the U.S. government. They were like, oh, okay, we'll pay you $1 billion bribe to get into your club, which you're pretending is this legal agency that has responsibilities, even though it's not. All Trump is doing is raising money illegally to create a slush fund that only he controls. Again, does this sound familiar? This is what he's done in like 28 different ways, right? This is what he did with the massive slush fund with the money that he got from stealing Venezuela's oil and selling it. This is similar to the idea of the slush fund where he gets $1.776 billion and pays off January 6th insurrectionists and terrorists and his family, right? He has so many ways of doing this exact same thing. Let me create a giant slush fund, pretend it's for some official thing, and then basically just steal it. That's what he's doing. So he creates this Board of Peace. And not only is he stealing money by raising money from, developing third world nations for it, but he also demands, I believe it was $10 billion from U.S. taxpayers for this thing. Mind you, literally all of this is just wildly illegal, completely and utterly illegal, incredibly disturbing. And again, nobody talks about it, nobody cares, because this is so many Trump scandals ago that people don't have the capacity to keep up. J.D. Vance was not wrong when he said Watergate these days would be a 12-hour story at most and then to be gone. He's 100% right. But that's because his regime is so immensely corrupt and disturbing that we can't keep up. Everybody's outrage meter is broken. The media literally cannot follow all of it because it's like 5 or 6 things on any given day that are actually worse than Watergate, this being one of them, by the way, okay? Draft documents obtained by The Guardian show President Trump's UN-backed Board of Peace for Gaza is considering sweeping legal immunity for its members, security forces, contractors, and Palestinian officials working under its authority. Let me pause to ask you this question. Why do you feel like you need sweeping legal immunity? I thought you guys were all about delivering peace around the world. What are you talking about? Why would you need sweeping legal immunity and protection? That's weird. Almost like you're breaking the law, you're committing crimes, and you're planning something incredibly, deeply nefarious. Listen to this. The draft resolution would shield them from any arrest, detention, or legal proceedings in Gaza while allowing the board to adjudicate claims involving injury, death, and property damage through its own internal process. Legal experts told The Guardian the proposal could leave no meaningful external oversight or accountability. They say the draft also says the board would receive public land and facilities in Gaza, quote, free of charge, raising concerns among legal experts about the potential confiscation of Palestinian property. Let me repeat that. The draft also says the board would receive public land and facilities in Gaza free of charge, raising concerns among legal experts about the potential confiscation of Palestinian property. The Board of Peace denied any operative immunity framework exists and said reports suggesting it seeks immunity are wrong and misleading. Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure The Guardian got it wrong, and it's not that you got it wrong. Okay, do you understand what's happening here? Remember when Trump came out in the White House and said in a very straightforward way, I'm going to take Gaza. I'm going to own Gaza. I'm going to own Gaza. We're going to take Gaza. We're going to control Gaza. That's what we're going to do. And we're going to make it great. We're going to make it beautiful. That's what we're going to do. And everybody looked around and said, what the fuck did he just say? I believe the first time he said it was in a press conference with Netanyahu at the Oval Office, at the White House. And he was like, we're going to take Gaza. We're going to own Gaza. Everybody was like, what the fuck are you talking about? That's not a thing. You can't just say, we're now going to steal this massive piece of land and do what we want with it. That's not a thing. But this is Trump. He does shit like this. He says shit like this. He said it about Cuba, too. We're going to take you. I'm going to take Cuba. I'm going to take it. I'm going to take it. I can do what I want with it. Literally the logic of a rapist while talking about an independent country. So what does this remind you of? Well, guys, he wasn't kidding. He wasn't kidding when he posted that video of the new Gaza where there's all these resorts and there's people on the beach and there's fucking belly dancers who look trans and Trump and Netanyahu are sipping an alcoholic beverage by a pool, and there's golden statues to Trump in Gaza. He wasn't kidding. This is his actual fucking vision. If you don't remember what I'm talking about here, let me play it for you. This is something Trump posted. Elon Musk eating while on the beach. Belly dancers with beards. A Trump golden balloon. A yacht. People on the beach. A city in the background that looks more like Qatar. Trump with a belly dancer. It raining money on the beach. A Trump Gaza hotel that's all gold. Golden statue to Donald Trump in the middle of fucking Gaza. A Trump Gaza gold store, again, raining money with Elon Musk. Trump and Netanyahu sitting by the beach. Absolutely incredible. Guys, they weren't kidding. I don't know how to get across to you just how evil and demonic these people are. We're talking about criminals who are on par with Nazi Germany. That's not, I know it sounds hyperbolic, but it's really not if you actually stop and think about what they're doing, what they're in the midst of doing, right? I mean, we're talking about carpet bombing fishing boats for no reason in the Pacific and the Caribbean, killing random people from Trinidad and Tobago and Colombia and Venezuela, doing regime change in Venezuela, bombing Yemen and Somalia and Nigeria and Ecuador and Iran and threatening Greenland and Panama and Canada and Cuba and Mexico. And doing shit like this. I created a fake legal organization to rob a bunch of money from international governments and billionaires and from American taxpayers. And I'm going to take that money. I'm going to pocket that money. I'm going to give myself immunity. And I'm going to steal Gaza, ethnically cleanse Gaza, finish the genocide, and take that territory and try to develop it for a fucking profit. That's what we're talking about here. It's so incredibly depraved. It's hard to even wrap your mind around what we're dealing with here. This is why I say all these people need to be in prison. Take a look at this from the New York Times. White House secretly swayed board meant to protect federal workers from unfair firings. New exclusive, the White House secretly pressured an arm of the government that is supposed to be independent and protect federal workers from unfair political firings. After White House pressure, the board made monumental decisions in Trump's favor, expanding his power to fire federal employees like DOJ prosecutors. So this is, by the way, in Project 2025. I believe it's called Schedule F. This is in Project 2025. They want to do what's called the unitary executive theory, which is just a fancy way of saying no more checks and balances. We have an authoritarian dictator. He controls anything and everything. No area of the government is independent. No area of the government is based on expertise anymore. It's all just party loyalists and hacks. And apparently, they decided to arm twist at the government agency that's supposed to protect the independence of all these different positions, and now Trump ends up getting his way. And then there's also this New York Times article here. Trump cut $1 billion mining deal. His sons stand to profit. Here's an in-depth New York Times article on how Trump, his family, and his cronies are abusing their government power to line their pockets and using billions of your tax dollars to facilitate their grifting. Note that the $8.9 billion in federal money going to the 14 Trump and Lutnick companies is equal to the entire amount of federal assistance Western North Carolina has received for Hurricane Helene recovery. Rampant corruption in plain sight, and Republicans see no evil, hear no evil, and speak no evil. Here's an excerpt from the article, and a free link to the entire article is below, but they say, ahead of the deal, the Trump administration approved preliminary applications for as much as $1.6 billion in federal financing for the American company now called Kaz Resources, which plans to break ground on the project in rural Kazakhstan. It was not only Mr. Trump and Mr. Lutnick who saw an opportunity. Their sons were soon doing business with partners in a deal that their fathers were negotiating, continuing a pattern of self-enrichment in the second Trump administration that has few precedents in American history. They say one or both families have financial ties to at least 14 companies that are actively working with the federal government on critical mining deals, including the Kazakhstan project, according to federal filings examined by the New York Times. All 14 of these companies have either benefited directly from offers of financial assistance from the Trump administration or have pending permit applications before the Commerce Department, which Mr. Lutnick oversees. The total amount of federal funding that the administration has provided or is considering providing to the companies exceeds $8.9 billion, according to public statements by the companies and federal government. Guys, this corruption is so out of control. You have banana republics are blushing at what the Trump regime is getting away with. Their fucking idiot dipshit sons, Uday and Qusay Trump and Uday and Qusay Nutlick, are out there making Kazakh mining deals and making billions of dollars from fucking government contracts. Like, what are we even talking about at this point? Again, I know I make this point too much, but I have to keep making it simply because it's true. I don't want to hear another fucking word about Hunter Biden from Republicans. I am so done with the Hunter slander. Please spare me. He's an absolute Boy Scout compared to you idiots. Nancy Pelosi is a Girl Scout. They are angels compared to you idiots. We are talking about the most corrupt regime by far, and it's not even close. The worst in American history. And that's to say nothing of the millions of dollars in insider trading. That's to say nothing about suing the IRS and trying to rob taxpayers of $1.776 billion. That's to say nothing of the scam crypto coin, the shit coin, that Trump did to rob his own supporters, and then Melania also did it to rob Trump supporters. Okay? How about the crypto exchange World Liberty Financial, which 2/3 of the tokens over there are bought by foreigners? Trump literally pardoned a guy who laundered money for Al-Qaeda because that guy bought a bunch of his World Liberty tokens. At this point, when you bring up even one of their corruption scandals, it sounds fake. It's so extreme that it sounds fake. They started this group, I guess you can call it, where it's called the Executive Branch Club, where you go and pay $500,000 to one of Trump's idiot sons, and you're in, right? And then what that buys you is access. What that buys you is special treatment. It buys you tax cuts. It buys you subsidies. So all these billionaires go and join the Executive Branch Club, and it's just literally a direct bribe to the Trump idiots. That's what it is. How many times have they violated the emoluments clause of the Constitution? Between the hotel in Dubai and the golf course in Qatar and the $400 million plane from Qatar. You have... Now we're talking in the billions is how much money the family is profiting, right? With the idiot sons in Trump and the mining deal. But let's not forget, Trump's son also gave himself a $620 million subsidy from the government, from the Office of Strategic Capital, because he invested in a company called Vulcan Earth and gave them the contract. Again, you can't make it up, dog. It's impossible to make this up. When we saw Jared Kushner was getting $2 billion from Saudi Arabia, we all, like, I lost my fucking breath. I was like, wait, what? You're talking billions of dollars of corruption? And then allegedly for that, he was slipping MBS classified information, which he then used to crack down on his own opponents domestically in Saudi Arabia. This is out of this world, bro. It's out of this world. But what the fuck would you expect from a guy who ran a fraud charity? The Trump family cannot operate a charity in the state of New York because they stole from a kids' cancer charity. Think about that. Think about how depraved that is. Think about how depraved it is to create a fake university. Think about how depraved it is to stiff your workers at your casinos and your hotels, plumbers, electricians, people, everyday people who do everyday work, and Trump stiff them. This is a man who did tax fraud and insurance fraud and business fraud and got caught red-handed. And here we are in 2026, and now they're self-dealing above and beyond. I mean, fucking Vladimir Putin is looking at this and blushing. Straight to prison for all of them. When Democrats get back power again, I don't want to hear any disagreement with this whatsoever. This is not a gray area issue. This is a black and white issue. There's no nuance here whatsoever. Take the motherfucking Trump name down from everything. I don't want to see it on a building. I don't want to see it on even the private property that they own. Never mind the Trump International Airport, which they just did that in Florida. Never mind he's trying to get his face on fucking Rushmore. Never mind the Arc de Trump or the Epstein Memorial Ballroom or all these different little pet projects that he's obsessed with. I want to... De-MAGification is going to hit in this country like denazification hit after Nazi Germany. That's what we need to do. We need to purge. We need to cleanse the entire country from this disgusting period that we all would like to forget.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
I have to say, man, I am officially here for this. Okay, I am here for this. We have the CNN lefty commentators and liberal commentators are absolutely positively fed up. They are done. They are furious. They are angry. And they are now erupting at the MAGA losers who are trying to pearl clutch at the fact that some Democratic socialists won in New York. Okay? And the gist of the argument is like, who the fuck are you to call anybody or anything extreme? How about you go to Shut the Fuck Upsville and stay there forever? You are banished to Shut the Fuck Upsville in perpetuity. So here's Charles Blow on a CNN panel, and you'll see, man, he is done. Listen to the sound of his voice, the anger in his voice. Here we go.
This scares the hell out of me for where our politics are going.
Just quickly, it's an animating force in a few of those districts. It's not an animating force in South Carolina's 1st District, nor in New York 17th.
It's an animating force in the Democratic convention in Michigan.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
but here's the problem. I mean, you guys are waxing over the entire thing that what's happening here. You talk about dogs that don't hunt anymore. The idea of painting these people as extremists does not hunt anymore, because the moment that you elected Donald Trump and you watch what he has done in the first year of his administration, no one can make the argument that someone is too extreme.
I don't know. This one goes a lot further than Donald Trump has.
Donald Trump is on tape saying that he grabbed women by their private parts. I don't want to hear anybody talk to me about what somebody else said by calling somebody a name or whatever the case may be.
Okay, let me just interject here to say, I don't even need to go deep on this. I'm going to just put it very simple like this. The Trump regime is quite literally and directly protecting a massive cabal of pedophile billionaires. Trump is in the cabal of pedophile billionaires. They have gone after their way. They have gone after Don Lemon and Letitia James and James Comey and E. Jean Carroll. They've gone after people who put their fucking hand in the reflecting pool water before they've arrested a single Epstein pedophile criminal. That's it. That's all I need to hear. You could name one of the policies of the Trump regime, and that would justify all the left-wing extremism in the world. And we're going to talk a little bit more about this in a second, but because of Trump's big bullshit bill that they passed, up to 742 hospitals are going to shut. I don't want to hear a single goddamn thing about left-wing extremism. No. Not interested. All I have to do is name one of your shitty fucking policies, and it justifies all the left-wing extremism in the world. So he's done. He's fed up. He's had it. I don't want to be lectured to by a bunch of pedophile protectors that, we're too extreme. How about you spare me? Spare me forever with that nonsense. I don't want to hear from a bunch of people who were just defending the carpet bombing of Iranian elementary schools that you guys have gone too far. Oh, have we? Well, I've seen what you cheer at, so maybe us going too far is actually a good thing because that means we're doing based shit.
I don't want to hear anybody talk to me about what somebody else said by calling somebody a name or whatever the case may be.
This woman has literally aligned herself with the idea of tearing down Western culture and Western civilization.
First of all, can we stop being stupid on purpose? Can we stop being dense on purpose? The context in which people say Western civilization these days is quite literally just white supremacy. Like, can we just be honest about that? We're protecting and saving Western civilization. People like fucking Netanyahu come out and say that. What does that mean? We're protecting whiteness. We're protecting the good countries. The countries of the Enlightenment from the evil barbarian hordes. It's not even subtle bigotry and racism. It is just open bigotry and racism. But, she wants to tear down Western civilization. Good. How about that? Good. If that means tearing down Netanyahu's Israel, if that means tearing down MAGA fascism, sign me the fuck up. What are we talking about?
Eric Kushner at Kirk's funeral saying that we are the whirlwind and we're going to come out and they don't understand how we're going to destroy things. I don't want to hear that. Yes, you go back and listen to what Kushner said at Kirk's his memorial service. Go back and listen to the full thing and tell me that is not a full-fledged white power speech.
Yeah, and by the way, Charles Blow is 100% correct. Republicans have gotten away with saying the most unhinged, the most deranged, the most violent things you've ever heard in your life. Elon Musk is on Twitter, straight up goose-stepping and zig-heiling and Nazi posting, directly calling for violence against his political opponents and immigrants, okay? Nobody cares. Nobody talks about it. The world's richest man, the trillionaire, who, by the way, illegally hacked into our government and cut pediatric cancer research and Meals on Wheels, mind you, is now calling for vigilante violence against liberals and leftists and immigrants. Nobody cares. Stephen Miller, on a daily basis, says, basically sounds like fucking Goebbels. Nobody cares. But God forbid, a Democrat comes out and says, we need to hold Israel accountable for their genocide. It's, how could you?
Vast majority of Americans do not want our country to become a race to the bottom in politics. So Donald Trump, who I criticize,
it's already at the bottom.
Well,
yeah, exactly. Thank you, Charles. Exactly. I don't want to hear from anybody who's right of center. I simply, sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, from the depths of my soul, shut the fuck up. If you, at any point in any of the 3 motherfucking elections, supported Donald Trump, you have lost your right to ever say, the Democrats need to turn down the temperature, the left needs to turn down the temperature. Shut the fuck up. That ship has long sailed, and you know what? You are the captain on that bitch, okay? That's you. That's on you. The abrasiveness of our politics is 100% at your doorstep. You think I wanted to be this guy I am today? You think I wanted to be this crusading, dark, woke guy who's like, fuck you, fuck your feelings, I don't care, go fuck yourself? I didn't want to be like this. I didn't start out like this. I was fucking optimistic. I wasn't a pessimist. I was naive. I was optimistic. I was like, oh yeah, let's reach across the aisle. Let's change some minds. Let's use arguments. Let's persuade. Then I hit the brick wall that is the Republican brain, okay? There's nothing is permeating. Nothing is getting in that bitch. And they are filled with vile hatred and bigotry and contempt. And it's like, okay, if these are the rules of the game, got it. You don't have to tell me twice. I can play by these rules too. And guess what? I'm going to beat your fucking ass under these rules, okay? It's your fault. It's your problem. If y'all want to play motherfucking nice, start playing motherfucking nice, and then maybe eventually we'll decide, okay, we can get back to that place. But we're nowhere near that place. And you don't get to fucking pearl clutch. You want a fainting couch? Because a Democrat said something true? Is that what you want? You want a fainting couch?
Okay, then your side.
It's already at the bottom. But everybody wants Democrats to be holier than thou.
Yes, thank you, Charles Blow. Thank you, Charles Blow. Yes. Our politics is already at the gutter. It's already in the gutter. It's already at the bottom. But everybody insists, well, Democrats must be holier than thou. They must be above it all. How about we're fucking sick of that? How about when they go low, we go high? We tried that roughly 5 times, and each time it fucking failed. So now we're going to punch you right in the fucking face, metaphorically speaking. And by the way, when we do it, it stings a lot more than when you do it. Because you guys are like the bully who's all bark and no bite. See, when we actually start barking, oh, we'll bite too. And that bite's going to hurt.
The Republicans are paid by one set of rules, and then they want Democrats to say, no, you can't do that. You said that you were better. You said that you were the nice guys, so you must run the race as the nice guy and let these guys literally dig into the graves.
There is
this is an insane proposition.
Thank you, Charles Blow. He's pissed, man, and I feel that. I feel that in my bones. What he's feeling right now, what he's expressing right now, I feel it completely. It's like, bro, if you guys wanted us to fucking be a certain way, well, you could have acted a certain way too. You know, in all seriousness, the way I look at Democratic voters these days and liberals and leftists these days is we're just a mirror, bro. We're just a mirror. If you want to get to a better place in politics and you want to be nicer and you want to look for nuance and agreement and have serious adult intellectual conversations, we're always willing to do that. We're always willing to do that. I'm not going to disrespect you and say all sorts of wild shit if you're coming in good faith. But the fact of the matter is, literally nobody on the right is coming in good faith. Literally nobody. Okay? So in that scenario, okay, I'm going to mirror that energy too. So you want this smoke? I'm going to give you this fucking smoke. It's that simple. All right, but we're still not done though. Now we go to Politics Girl, a.k.a. Her last name's McGowan. Forgive me, I'm not recalling her first name at the moment. Put it in the comment section if you know. Shout out to her though. I'm a big fan. I mean, everything I've seen of her lately has been absolutely phenomenal. So she goes on CNN and she burst their bubble by actually telling the truth on the issue of Israel. And man, are they uncomfortable with it. Here we go.
As younger voters are saying, why are we so in bed with Israel? Why do we send billions of dollars? Why do we send, can I just, why do we...
No, notice they're all cutting her off.
No, they're not. The answers are not easy. Listen, why are we in bed? These are younger voters. This is my own perspective. Why are we in bed with a foreign entity where we send them billions of dollars, but we tell our own people we don't have enough? Why are we letting a foreign entity...
Wait, I love how this guy is Noah Rothman, by the way. He's always been a massive idiot. I remember covering him back in like 2015 when he wrote for Mediaite. Every article he wrote was dumber than the next. She's explaining something very simple. People are looking at it going, why are we sending so much money to Israel? Why are we sending so many weapons to Israel when like we can't even afford basic shit here? And this guy's doing, acting like, you know, you could see by his body language and the way he's reacting, he's implying like she's crossing some sort of a line. Is she perhaps being anti-Semitic by saying these things? That's the vibe of what he's doing. Look.
Why are we in bed? These are younger voters. This is my own perspective. Why are we in bed with a foreign entity where we send them billions of dollars, but we tell our own people we don't have enough? Why are we letting...
See, in bed with a foreign entity. What does that mean? Why don't you just say it? You know what's so annoying about the Israel supporters is they're all such fucking weasels. They're all such weasels. They can't even just like say it. Just say it. Say the thing. But you know, if you do say the thing what you actually think, everybody will be like, you're an idiot and you're lying and you're wrong. That's why you can't just say, I think you're an anti-Semite.
A foreign entity, where a foreign country, a foreign nation...
Because you know why?
Why are we letting
because
a foreign
they're the most tactically capable ally we have in the region.
We're not.
He's saying that's why we support Israel. They're the most tactically capable ally we have in the region. Is genocide tactical? Is that what that is? Is shooting children in the face tactical? Is starving an entire population of over 2 million people tactical? Is killing tens of thousands tactical? Is stealing more and more territory illegally tactical? Is stealing South Lebanon and stealing parts of Syria and fighting on 8 different fronts, is that tactical? Or is that completely and utterly unhinged? And these are basically Zio-Nazi psychopaths who are trying to create a greater Israel and plunder and pillage their way to do that. I think maybe that's it. And you just won't acknowledge that.
If this was France, if it was Ireland, if it was Canada that was telling us how we were going to do our foreign policy, people would be like, why are we letting Canada decide our foreign policy? If we were sending billions of dollars to Ireland, it would be questionable. And it doesn't, you don't have to tie anti-Semitism to it. You have to say, why are we allowing a foreign nation to make our decisions? And that's a logical question. That has nothing to do.
Now, let me just point out, she's speaking on behalf of like, 80% of the country at this point. These are all questions that like 80% of the country has, 90% of the country has. And here she's being gaslit by, you know, elitist Republicans who are MAGA cocksuckers on CNN, which this should be a wake-up call to anybody out there who still has a functioning brain, who actually is going to try to represent you and who actually, you know, believes in something and believes in our sovereignty, right? What happened to that America First idea? Seemingly, it's the Democrat on the panel who's actually advocating for looking after our own country.
That's a logical question that has nothing to do with anti-Semitism.
To say that Israel makes our decisions for us is a species.
Why are we at war?
Oh my God, he's doing the thing. He's doing the thing. Let's hear her reaction, because her reaction is spot on.
That has nothing to do with
anti-Semitism. To say that Israel makes our decisions for us is a species.
Why are we at war? Why are we at war with Iran? Why are we at war?
Because Iran has killed thousands of Americans.
No, Benjamin Netanyahu came to the White House.
President Trump.
Correct.
To go to war.
It's in that new book.
Why did the DSA hold an anti-Israel rally on October 8th as the attack was ongoing?
There were already over 400 bombs dropped in Gaza, killing civilians. That's why on October 8th, there were already people out there. There were literally already over 400 bombs dropped on Palestinians in response. People who were protesting on October 8th, kudos to them, because what they realize is what the rest of us should have, and which everybody should have realized, which is this is going to be really bad. Like, they are going to do worse than 2014. They're going to fucking just kill everybody in sight, and that's what they did. And so the people who were out there were, what, correct too early? Is that the criticism here? So, by the way, shout out to Politics Girl, man. She absolutely freaked it here, and you could tell she's frustrated, too, dealing with these fucking MAGA idiots. It's her and the other Democrat on the panel that are going, can you shut the fuck up? We all saw the reporting that Netanyahu was in the Situation Room. Trump wasn't even sitting at the head of the table. And Netanyahu was like, let's do war with Iran. And Trump was like, okay, love that. And they're like, you're not allowed to bring that up or you're anti-Semitic. Fuck you. All right, we're still not done. Now they talk about healthcare. And yet again, very basic questions lead to absolute meltdowns on the right. Here we go.
It's not far left. This idea that it's far left for us to have some form of universal health care. That's not far left. We're having the World Cup right now. Every single country in the World Cup has universal health care except us. Like, that's not a far left position. That's a pretty general world position. It's not far left to be able to say, I want to work a job and be able to afford a place to live and food. It's not far left, right, to say that you want to stay home with your baby when they're born and take care of them and have paid family leave and affordable school when they are grown up. That's not far left. That is pretty standard for the rest of the world.
God, I love it. You know, being a lefty, again, on top of being right too early, it's also just feeling like you live in the Twilight Zone because, like, you say things that are completely and utterly uncontroversial, but people acted like you just farted in an elevator. People acted like you just sharted in an elevator when you say stuff like, hey, we should have universal health care. How dare, what is wrong with... I'm sorry. Like, you know, some ungodly percentage of this population is just completely gone. They're too far gone. They're out to lunch. They're not even interested in making this country a better place. They're literally not even interested in it. And, you know, I don't know what to do about that. I genuinely don't know what to do about that. But shout out to the CNN lefties because they are channeling all of our rage.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
So Nick Fuentes accidentally says the quiet part loud here. And, you know, says what we all know, but what nobody on the right would like to admit. And this is kind of glorious, gives a tremendous amount of ammunition to his ideological opponents, like yours truly. But you simply love to see it, so let's listen, then we'll break it down.
Sam Fee sent $5. Leaving Chicago for OKC was the best decision I ever made. It's the best major city in the country.
Oklahoma City? Dude, what are you, on drugs? Yeah, I'm going to go to Oklahoma. I'm going to get a big 10-gallon hat. I'm gonna walk around like this. I'm gonna walk around like this with my belt buckle. Hey, y'all, I'm in Oklahoma. What are you, high? You think I would ever? I'm gonna live in Oklahoma where it's fucking 10 trillion degrees and the whole state is red? I don't think so. I've never been there, but I don't think so. I don't know what's wrong. I actually like liberals. I actually like living near and around liberals. I like living around them. They're cultured. You know, I don't want to eat barbecue all the time.
This guy's whole project is white nationalism. This guy's whole project is to turn this entire fucking country into Oklahoma, as he fucking hates Oklahoma. If you give the racist what the racist wants, he immediately goes, huh, this is kind of boring and uncultured and stupid and dumb and worse. Well, yeah, that's what we've been telling you all along. We've been telling you that the beauty of this country is the fucking melting pot element of it. Right? I mean, that's what makes New York City so special. It's like the ultimate melting pot. And the best cultural products come out of New York City. It's a phenomenal place to live. And right now, of course, in Mamdani-stan, it's like fucking, it's a utopia. I mean, people there are like euphoric 24/7 now because this guy's delivering on all of his promises and making people's lives better. But like, bro, it's almost like, how can you even consider yourself a white nationalist and a conservative when you're admitting the thing that only liberals and leftists have said previously, which is, yeah, our places are just objectively better because they are just objectively better, okay? He's not done, though.
I actually like living near and around liberals. I like living around them. They're cultured. You know, I don't want to eat barbecue all the time, actually. I don't want to eat a bunch of smoked meat in, like, syrup.
It's kind of hilarious, though, because now he's attacking the best part of conservative culture. I fucking love barbecue. Barbecue's tremendous. The best part of Texas is the barbecue. You go there, the meat's falling off the bone. It tastes fucking phenomenal. You're going, holy shit. They can't do barbecue anywhere else like they do in Texas. There's some places that come close. Like, shout out, there's this place I love called Dickey's. And they do a phenomenal job. But outside of Dickey's, like, most of the barbecue I've had that's not in Texas is distinctly different from the Texas barbecue, which is just like, just phenomenal, right? And now he's attacking that. You're going to go after the best part of fucking conservative culture? This doesn't even make sense. You're making me more sympathetic to what your argument should be. This is crazy.
Because that's what's good food down there. You say, what's your specialty? So we smoke meat, and then we cover it in syrup. We cover it in sweet and spicy syrup. Oh, that's great. What else you got? Mac and cheese. So that's cheese sauce.
It's fucking delicious.
On noodles. Do I have that right? So you have meat with syrup on top, and then pasta and cheese sauce. And that's your specialty. Yup. Okay, well, I think I'll just stick around here, actually.
This is the most un-American shit I've ever heard in my life. Who hates fucking mac and cheese and barbecue? I mean, for real.
I'm good with the lattes, actually. I think I'll take the matcha. I think I'll stick with the lattes and the avocado toast. And
here's the bottom line, right? When you look at blue states versus red states, what do you have in blue states? And these are all facts. I'm not even giving you opinion here. I'm just going to give you facts. In blue states, you have longer life expectancy, better health outcomes. More people have health care. Because of the regulations, that means there's way fewer cases of cancer and heart disease. They are much more educated. The public schools are way better funded. They have higher wages, higher GDP. They are net tax payers to the federal government, whereas the red states are net tax receivers. So using right-wing language here, that means red states are parasites. Red states are a drain. Blue states are additive to the system, okay? Get this. Here, if you want to know what boils down the difference between Democrats and Republicans in modern day, I'll break this down very simply for you. Since the year 1989, 97% of the jobs that have been created under Democratic presidents. The scoreboard is 50 million jobs created by Democrats to 1.3 million jobs created by Republicans. And what he's acknowledging here is something everybody else has acknowledged, that blue states and blue cities, of course, that have all different kinds of people, immigrants, people from different walks of life, different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different religions. What ends up happening is a bunch of magic happens. People are very productive. They work very hard. They make these places much better places to live. And the more red areas are just a lot more rural and a lot more stagnant, right? And look, this is coming from, I'll admit up front, I actually am uniquely equipped to like rural living a lot. Because despite what it seems like on camera, I'm actually a very introverted person. I like having a lot of land. It's nice to be able to go outside in my underwear and everything's chilling that way. But I actually like rural areas. But the fact of the matter is, any sort of objective way of measuring it, for the overwhelming majority of people, blue states and blue cities are going to be a million times over. You'd want to be there more than you'd like to be in red states. And so the fact that he acknowledges it, I don't even think he realizes it, but it just massively undermines his entire political project, right? It doesn't undermine my political project that I kind of enjoy rural areas, because I'd rather be in a rural area, but also have everybody around me have universal health care and free college and a living wage. And I'd rather not warmonger, right? And I still want to tax the rich. And I want to take that money and redistribute it. I think people should have free daycare, for example. So, there's no contradiction in liking rural areas and left-wing policies. That's consistent. But for him, I feel like it is sort of, it's untenable to be like, I like these liberal areas with all these black and brown people, as ironically his whole political project is to kick out all the black and brown people. Just this idea of everything will be great and there'll be no crime if we just have, no more black and brown people. It's like, dude, have you looked at fucking Wall Street? They're the worst criminals on planet Earth, and they're 99.9% white. Look at the military-industrial complex. Same shit. It's completely and utterly untenable to act become ethnically homogenous and everything will be great. Or it's actually the opposite and things get way, way worse. Way worse. So quite an admission there. And I don't know, maybe one day he'll recognize that it sort of undermines his whole ideology and his whole philosophy. I'm telling you, man, he's one of those guys. I think he secretly hates his audience, and I think he is almost like a closet elitist liberal. Don't you guys agree with that? Like, there's deep inside Nick Fuentes, there's a closet elitist liberal. There's a Richard Hanania waiting to get out of Nick Fuentes. And the more time goes by, the more resentment he feels towards the right, the more that thing sort of rears its head.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
So we've talked quite a bit on this show about healthcare. I told you guys that about 18 million people lost their Medicaid as a direct result of Trump's big bullshit bill. You also have the skyrocketing prices of healthcare plans under Obamacare as well. So not just Medicaid being affected negatively, but also the private health insurance market as well being affected negatively. So take a look at this from NPR. 5 million have dropped ACA insurance, Affordable Care Act insurance, that's Obamacare, after Trump and the GOP let prices skyrocket. Far more people than previously known have dropped Affordable Care Act health insurance for 2026, according to data released Friday. 5 million fewer people are currently enrolled in ACA marketplace plans compared to the record high reached last year. More than 1 million fewer people picked up a plan for 2026, and then 4 million more either disenrolled or failed to pay their premiums and therefore dropped coverage. Prices in the market skyrocketed after President Trump and Republicans in Congress failed to extend extra financial help for enrollees last year. The Department of Health and Human Services published a report about the data on its website Friday. So because of their putting up a massive middle finger to the American people, now they are hemorrhaging their health care. The numbers are in, and they are devastating. 5 million Americans have dropped their Affordable Care Act coverage. Here's why. Premiums on these plans doubled on average from last year to this one. That's on average. Some people, it tripled or quadrupled, okay? Deductibles hit a record high, and families who were getting by suddenly found a monthly bill they simply could not pay. So they did the only thing they could. They gave up the coverage they needed, and it did not have to be this way. The reason costs exploded is that Trump and Republicans in Congress let the tax credits that kept these plans affordable expire. We fought to extend them. We warned for months exactly what would happen if those credits went away. Republicans pushed their agenda through anyway in their big ugly bill and chose tax breaks for billionaires over keeping a working family's doctor visit within reach. Now look at how they're trying to spin it. The administration wants you to believe this drop is about fraud. That's nonsense, and they know it. Independent health policy experts have looked at the data and reached the same conclusion. People did not disappear because of some crackdown. They disappeared because they could not afford the bill anymore. When you double someone's premium, they drop the plan. This is not complicated. It is as cruel and cynical as it gets, and the people who did this are going to answer for it. So listen, what I need is every Democratic politician in the country and everybody in the media to listen to me very closely and very carefully here, and I need you to start repeating these things that I'm telling you. We are hitting preposterously high numbers of Americans hemorrhaging their health care. Like I said, about 18 million people kicked off their Medicaid, never mind the millions of people who lost access to the SNAP program, the food stamp program. Okay? You also have the terrible impact on the hospital system in this country. People don't talk about this. But we covered it on this show a while back. The Center for Healthcare Quality and Payment Reform's report found that, ready for this, 742 rural hospitals are at risk of closing, with over 300 of those being classified at immediate risk. Why am I the only person who said that number? Democrats, I need you to bring this up. Because of Trump, because of Republicans, because of MAGA, because of that big bullshit bill, up to 742 hospitals are going to close. So if you're an American and you don't have a hospital near you anymore because a rural hospital shut down, you know who to blame? Donald J. Trump. You know who to blame? All of the Republican politicians. Okay? I've had enough of them skating by on the shit that they do. Like, it is disgusting to me that these guys, they actually, there was an old tweet that always comes back to my mind. It's something to the effect of, like, Trump signs the fuck off and die bill. And, like, how many times do they have to sign fuck off and die bills and, like, get away with it for Democrats to wake up and like, you have to start tarring them with the shit that they do. You have to make it stick to them. We're talking about a bill that added $4 trillion to the debt and the deficit. We're talking about a bill that cut taxes on the rich, but raised it on the lower and middle class. We're talking about kicking nearly 5 million off food stamps, getting rid of free school lunch for kids and free school breakfast for kids. We're talking about cuts to Medicare as well, They killed solar projects and wind projects and increased pollution and defunded Planned Parenthood. They sent $160 billion for ICE Gestapo thugs to destroy immigrants' lives. So they do all that shit, and like, again, I feel like it's barely fucking mentioned. Barely mentioned. So, this guy, he's been a wrecking ball to everything in this country. And people need to start realizing that 742 hospitals are going to shut down because of them, and millions are going to lose their health care. And there's got to be a reckoning for this stuff, man. There's got to be a reckoning. We can't just let them continue to get away with this day after day after day. This is genuinely criminal shit, and this is affecting people in a horrible, atrocious, atrocious way.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, so I got to talk to you guys a little bit about what went down in Venezuela. So I showed you the videos when they first came out. It was such a powerful earthquake that hit there. And it's like a nightmare. The stuff you saw, it was just nightmare type stuff. Buildings collapsing all over the place. People dying left and right. Just honestly like a horror movie. It's like a horror movie. Well, take a look at this from Newswire. 68,900 people missing in Venezuela. Families tell the Venezuelan government 1,430 are confirmed dead and 3,238 are confirmed injured. But nearly 70,000 people missing. And you can see some of the ruins right here. Look at these ruins. This is crazy. Look at this. For the ground to shake so aggressively that all these buildings instantly collapse, and then of the buildings that remain standing, there's got to be immense structural damage to those buildings where they're unlivable. Look at this. Look at this. A lot of these buildings have to be completely and utterly unlivable. You know what I'm saying? So people are probably sleeping on the streets. And then you got the horror story of, and I'll get to this more in a second, but, Trump did the regime change in Venezuela, and this regime is not doing dick to help the people. In fact, they're lying about this every single step of the way. So this is some of the devastation that we're witnessing here. Take a look at this. So as this is all going on, the U.S. has seized $5.49 billion of Venezuela's oil revenue in 2026. Then offers just $150 million in earthquake aid, while the UN estimates $6.7 billion in losses. It's not relief, it's extortion. At the same time, the U.S. has $30 billion of frozen assets, while people are under the rubble. It is literally just a slap in the face. This is just a slap in the face to Venezuela. So in other words, as an earthquake killed probably 70,000 people in Venezuela, Trump is continuing to rob them blind right in front of their faces. So here's Trump talking about Venezuela and saying something which should send chills down your spine.
Venezuela, we have a great, and by the way, we're helping Venezuela. They had a tremendous earthquake, a lot of people killed, and unbelievable, right in Caracas. And we have a lot of people over there helping, but Venezuela's been fantastic. We've had a great relationship. It was a one-day war. We hit them so hard, and one-day war. Now we've taken out millions of barrels of oil, and we paid for the war many times over. But just as importantly, they are doing better than they've ever done. They're making more money than they've ever done. They've never made the money that they're making now. And it's really, outside of what happened last night with that was terrible what happened. It was a big earthquake, knocked down buildings. But outside, it was really, it's a happy country again. The people are happy. They're dancing in the streets.
Oh.
The people running it are doing a very good job.
They're dancing in the streets. They're actually very happy. If you put aside the earthquake that killed maybe up to 100,000 people, they're very happy. They're dancing in the streets. And we actually paid for it. We hit them so hard, and then we took the oil, we took that out. But now we're helping them, but they're dancing in the streets because of what we did. By the way, of course, needless to say, I don't even need to say this, but I'll say it anyway. Of course, what he said is completely and utterly untrue. The idea, they're making so much money, that's bullshit. Trump is literally stealing, all of the money. They stole the gold, they stole the oil, he sold the oil on the open marketplace, took the money and put it in a private bank account that only he controls. That's what's happening. So, old school imperialism, colonialism, complete extortion, and here he is giving a speech. It's going great, actually. They're really happy. They're dancing in the street. Oh my God, bro. Oh my word. This is untenable. This country can't continue like this. It just can't. This is so gross. Now, ready for this? Let me show you this as well. Desperation mounts in Venezuela as the earthquake death toll rises to 1,430. And then we see this. Some, frustrated by the government's response, blocked an excavator from leaving the site of a collapse and pulled the operator from its cabin shortly after state workers took selfies in front of flattened buildings and left without helping. The ruling party's officials often take selfies to show participation in government-related events. A few feet away, at least 5 bodies lay wrapped in blankets. A member of the crowd, Yason Marcano, said those searching had received some assistance from an investigations unit, but neither police nor the National Guard helped. Quote, they came to eat arepas and take pictures to make it look like they were working, Marcano said. They didn't even get their uniforms dirty like we have. We've been here for 3 days. So here's the government. Here's the people that Trump left in charge of Venezuela to let him steal all their oil and steal all their gold. Here's who he left in charge. They are sitting there as their people are dying underneath rubble because of the earthquake. And they're downplaying how bad it is, which makes it so other countries don't send aid. What a sick fucking joke, bro. What a sick fucking joke. I've never seen anything like this before in my entire life. Imagine looting and plundering and pillaging a country, and then that country gets absolutely shellacked with a natural disaster, and then you brag about how good that country's doing as you continue to rob them in the midst of just an absolute, utter catastrophe, which is what we're witnessing here. He is robbing Venezuela blind, as about 70,000 people are feared dead from this earthquake, and the government he put in charge isn't lifting a motherfucking finger to try to help them. Sometimes I wish there was a hell, because then Trump would get what he deserves when he's no longer with us.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
So we got to talk about this Diet MAGA Democrat by the name of Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez. Now, she is a very weird one. She is a very curious case. She kind of is like the new Kyrsten Sinema in a sense, except Sinema was a senator and Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez is a congresswoman. But she has gained herself the nickname Marie Internment Camp Perez because she has continued to vote for funding for DHS and ICE even after their terror spree, where they shot innocent protesters in the face, and they assaulted senior citizens, and they tear-gassed cops, and they broke up immigrant families, and they sent people to concentration camps. She continued to vote to send them money even during that. So she is hated by the left, and completely and understandably so. And look, we have more than just that reason to hate her. She voted for the SAVE Act, so she's trying to help the right with their vote-rigging bullshit. She continues to vote to arm Israel, even after and during and after the genocide. She voted for the Laken-Riley Act, which, that took away due process for immigrants, which means by extension, it takes it away for literally everybody in the country. Because if you take it away for one person, you take it away for everybody, because all they'd have to do is say you're an immigrant and not give you your rights. She voted against Biden's student debt relief, and she censured Al Green when Al Green was protesting Trump during the State of the Union. So she really is just a loathsome cretin. Well, guess what? There's a little bit of an expose that dropped on her in the New York Post, and boy, oh boy, is this spicy. So take a look. Democrat Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez's wild past of fetish parties, drugs, and gruesome chicken stunt exposed. A blue-collar Democrat running to keep her seat in rural Washington has a secret drug-fueled past filled with kinky fetish parties, nudism, and an alleged fondness for nitrous oxide whippets. Before Representative Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez took control of Washington's Trump-friendly 3rd Congressional District outside Portland, she was a budding college politician who presided over a latex fetish ball, drugged-up nude frolics, and even an LSD giveaway, according to social media posts unearthed by the California Post. Ex-roomies further have alleged that the Dem rising star was once an avid dumpster diver who offered spoiled avocados in exchange for rent while crashing in a friend's crawl space, and once sawed a chicken's head off during an ill-fated experiment in urban farming. What the fuck did I just read? Perez, who attended the ultra-liberal Reed College in Portland, Oregon, was a student senator who helmed the Finance Committee in 2012. The Student Senate's post on X from the time showed Gluesenkamp-Perez securing $4,000 to throw a latex-heavy fetish ball featuring a DJ and a dark room. So here's one of her nude runs on college campus in Oregon. Look at this. You have nude students, I guess, who painted their bodies all blue, and they're running around butt-ass naked on campus. Not quite sure exactly what's going on here, but nonetheless, there you have it. The school's Fetish Club, which hosted the event, was known for teaching courses such as BDSM 201, which introduced students to flogging and caning, violent wand, and basic rope bondage. What? And a Kinky crafts course on creating do-it-yourself bondage gear. Let me pause to point out, do we really need a class on stuff like that? Can't you sort of do your own research on that front if you want to get into that sort of stuff? Do you really need to go to an official setting in a school to fucking learn about this sort of stuff? And by the way, let's be serious in that if any left-wing Democrat had 1/10 of the dirt on them that this Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez did, oh, you would have heard much more about it. God forbid you swap the backstory of AOC and Marie Internment Camp Perez, and it's AOC who's involved in weird, drugged-up fetish sex parties and shit. You would never hear the fucking end of it. You would never hear the end of that shit. They say she also fought to secure funding for the Raunchy Ren Fairy Fair, an annual campus festival that includes a freewheeling nude jog by groups of students calling themselves Pics, who don body paint to put their genitals on display for groups of alumni. What the fuck, man? What the fuck? The $74,000 a year liberal arts school is known for its permissive drug culture, even circulating a user's guide to pot and alcohol, cocaine, amphetamine, benzos, LSD, DMT, mescaline, MDMA, PCP, ketamine, nitrous oxide, opiates, depressants, and psilocybin, authored by students. Willamette Week reported in 2008. Gluesenkamp-Perez's Senate offered an LSD giveaway in 2012 at the Student Union and promoted Nitrogen Day when students would gather to do nitrous oxide, also known as whippets. Jesus Christ. Former roommates of Gluesenkamp-Perez spilled more allegations about the Democrats' wild early years, claiming she went to extremes to avoid paying rent while living in a palace crawl space. Okay, that part is not all that bad. On a January episode of the podcast Coexist, Isaac Eager claimed the future congressman crashed on the couch after a breakup before relocating to an attic hovel above the garage. She claimed she couldn't afford the $50, $75 a month he was charging. Eager recalled and attempted to barter old fruit and meat in exchange for rent, once offering 4 feet of rotten avocados. What the fuck? The kind of avocado where you can't even turn it into guacamole or anything. And she's like, here's rent, the ex-pal recalled. And I was like, uh-oh, no, absolutely not. She would literally never pay rent. Eager described Gluesenkamp-Perez as a Portland dumpster diver who even brazenly decapitated a chicken as horrified roommates frantically Googled humane ways to kill the animal. She was allegedly known to peddle extremely low-quality weed out of a van after graduating from Reed, according to investigative journalist Dan Boguslaw, who attended Reed College. Bro, come on, man. Again, if this was AOC, if this was Daria Lisa, if this was Zoran, they would have been run out of town, man. This bitch has the weirdest backstory you've ever seen. And you're barely going to hear another peep about this. Because, again, the anti-Democrat industrial complex on Fox News and on the right, it really only is pointed at actual left-wing voices who are actual threats. This dumb bitch votes for a whole bunch of the right-wing priorities, so they'll largely let her slide on this shit. They just will. The origin of the dirt weed was unknown, Boguslaw reported on the Insurgents podcast, but the fledgling Dem power broker is alleged to have moved large quantities of low-quality cannabis by loitering around Reed's campus. Gluesenkamp-Perez graduated from Reed College in 2012 and was a thoughtful, creative student with a reputation for being down for anything, according to a profile in the school's alumni publication. She later served on the Washington Democrats Executive Committee, helping to pass a platform that included decriminalizing drugs and sex work. The Congresswoman didn't respond to a request for comment. Gluesenkamp-Perez shocked the nation in 2022 when she flipped her rural district, defeating Republican Joe Kent and pitching herself as a blue-collar Democratic problem solver. However, she infuriated progressives by crossing party lines to vote for a Department of Homeland Security funding package that included $10 billion for ICE. The Department of Homeland Security is extremely important to my community. I could not, in good conscience, vote to shut it down, she said at the time. She is now running in a tough re-election fight against Republican State Senate Minority Leader John Braun. And that's all we got here, man. I mean, What the fuck? She's just weird, bro. This one is just fucking weird. She also tries to make herself the center of attention at really awkward times. I forget what happened recently, but she tried to like jump in front of the fucking attention and just like made herself look incredibly horrific. But again, think about if this was about any left-wing Democrat. You would never hear the end of it. This is going to be the first and last time you hear about it now, because I'm talking about it, because fuck this bitch for all of her horrible votes, okay? But any other politician had the same fucking past, and it would be over. It would be a wrap. But this one is largely going to skate on it, and it's fucking annoying.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, y'all. So this is always good. It's always good when we're talking about a Great Depression. Love that. Love that for us. So the Telegraph says, AI boom risks global financial crash, warns central bankers. Reversal of excessive tech investments could have serious economic consequences, report finds. Debt-fueled spending on AI is driving up the risk of a global financial crisis, central bankers have warned. The Bank for International Settlements, BIS, said on Sunday that excessive spending on new AI data centers and opaque transactions risked a financial meltdown similar to the global credit crunch nearly 2 decades ago. Let me pause to point out, this has been something that's caught my attention previously. It really does appear to be some sort of a scam, the way that the different tech companies and AI companies sort of shovel money back and forth to each other. And then that's then used as like evidence that something big is happening, that, you know, increase investment from others. And like really it's just this weird sort of Ponzi scheme, scam type situation where they're shoveling money back and forth to try to reinflate the bubble to prevent it from popping. But there's only so many tricks you can do before reality catches up. I mean, that's the thing that's going to come back to haunt these people, is that eventually reality always catches up, bro. There's no way around that. So they say the BIS, known as the Bank for Central Banks, said there was growing peril in financial markets from the complex web of financial ties between AI giants, shadow banks, and data center builders unraveling. Financial stability could be at risk in the event of an AI bust, the BIS said, should hyperscalers slow or halt the aggressive pace of capital expenditure deployment. Many borrowers across the supply chain could struggle to replace lost revenue and service their debt. The opacity of AI sector financing compounds these vulnerabilities. Pablo Hernandez de Cos, the BIS general manager, said there were major questions about whether the boom would benefit the wider economy and warned a reversal of AI exuberance could have serious economic consequences. That's the other thing, right? Even if they're right about all the promises of AI, that doesn't actually benefit the economy more broadly, because it's like a nuclear bomb to the way the system works. It requires a rewiring of the way everything works, because they're openly saying they want AI to take everybody's job. Okay, well, if AI takes everybody's job, what do those people do? There's not enough government safety net to help these people, and they can't just get a job because AI is taking all the jobs. So what the fuck do you want from them? So it's almost like AI, by definition, cannot be good for the economy in the short run. You could make some sort of theoretical argument about how in the long run, if we usher in fully automated luxury communism, then it's fine, but we're not in the long run, and we have no plan in place. And there is no reworking and rewiring and retooling of the economy. And so it's just like we're waiting for the bubble to burst. And honestly, the bubble bursting is the least bad of all bad scenarios, because if the bubble bursts, at least it was all hype, and then eventually people will have jobs again, right? All right, they say one risk is that large-scale investment in AI infrastructure becomes excessive as each firm tries to outcompete rivals and dominate market share. This could leave the sector more vulnerable if AI underdelivers, possibly bringing the current investment boom to an abrupt end with large macroeconomic consequences. America dominates venture capital AI investments. Whoa, look at this. Holy shit, it really does. Jesus Christ. The BIS warning is one of the strongest yet on risks lurking in the AI boom. The Bank of England warned in December that share prices were now the most stretched they had been since the 2008 crash. Oh, well, that's always good. The International Monetary Fund has also compared AI valuations to the excesses of the dot-com bubble. See, that's interesting. So really what we're looking at here is it's both of those combined. The 2001 crash and then the 2008 subprime mortgage crisis and Great Recession together. And that seems kind of catastrophic, doesn't it? That seems kind of catastrophic. Big tech groups such as OpenAI and NVIDIA have turned to complex financial transactions to fund AI's development, with bot developers often receiving loans from chip makers to buy the chip makers' microchips. Shadow banks, known as private credit funds, have also piled money into AI data centers to benefit from rising demand for the new technology. The shadow banking industry is where companies borrow from funds and private equity houses rather than banks. It has expanded rapidly in recent years as regulators around the world have tightened the rules governing mainstream banking. That's crazy. So it's like a loophole to do more sketchy things as a bank. Jesus Christ. The report added that signs of stress are already visible in private credit funds, with many inundated with redemption requests and in some cases forced to block withdrawals. The BIS said the global economy had weathered Donald Trump's tariffs and his war on Iran and enjoyed a boost from technology stocks. However, there were growing perils from rising inflation and speculative AI investments, which had echoes of similar financial crashes. The bank noted there were parallels between the AI infrastructure surge and the dot-com boom, as well as similarities with the British railway mania of the 1840s or the Roaring Twenties before the Great Depression. Well, that's always good. It's always good when you go, yeah, this is most similar to right before the Great Depression. You know how we had a Roaring Twenties back then in the 1900s? Well, now in the 2000s, we also have a Roaring Twenties. Isn't that great? That's lovely. I'll tell you what, these 20s don't feel so roaring, though, right? They don't. It feels like the fucking catastrophic 20s. It feels like the traumatic 20s is probably the best way to describe it. The scale and pace of the current AI investment boom, accompanied by expectations of large productivity payoffs, bear resemblance to these precedents, highlighting potential downside risks in the near term, the report said. U.S. and Asian stocks linked to the AI boom have swung wildly in recent days amid fears the tech rally could come to a grinding halt. Global tech stocks plunged on Friday after Apple said it would increase prices because of higher microchip costs. The Nasdaq dropped as much as 1.3. South Korea's blue chip index, which is heavily tied to the fortunes of the country's AI chip business, has also seen swings of more than 10 in a single day. The BIS also warned that bottlenecks in data center construction or a shortage of chip supplies could threaten the AI boom. Well, that's a problem because there absolutely is going to be a chip shortage. There's like no question about that. That's not even like, I don't even think it's a possibility to not have a chip shortage, because these chips are all going towards data centers now, but they're also the same chips used in all of your electronics, and like, by definition, you cannot meet the demand for all that, and you can't just ramp it up. It's not as simple enough to just ramp up the production of all that. It's scary. This is some scary-ass shit that we're talking about here. AI giants have already taken to rationing access to their most powerful tools at peak times because of a lack of capacity. The Financial Times reported on Sunday that Google had capped Meta's use of the search giant's Gemini AI because it was struggling to meet the Facebook owner's demand. A series of trillion-dollar floats are also testing the appetite of investors for high-risk bets. SpaceX went public earlier this month, notching a valuation of nearly $2 billion, but shares have since plummeted from their peak. The BIS also warned that I think that's a fucking rug pull what Elon was doing there. With near record levels of public debt, many countries had failed to secure their public finances during periods of economic growth. Instead, they were spending beyond their means, leaving them vulnerable. In other words, when we have another crash, you can try, if you're a government, to just bail out the systems, or the private companies or whatever. But if you do that, our books are not sound. We're already in massive debt. We didn't balance the books when times were good. So you're probably just going to lead to inflation and potentially even hyperinflation because you have political instability mixed with the overspending. I don't think we have the ability to build all the data centers that they would need in order to fulfill whatever their maximalist dreams are with AI. I don't think we have the ability. I think we have a water shortage. I think we have a climate crisis. I think we have a homegrown revolt among the people against these data centers and how they lead to pollution and noise pollution and they're taking people's jobs and shit like that. So I think we're in a really, really bad place where, they can't keep expanding. But even if they do expand, then that's horrible for the environment. That's horrible for the water situation. That's horrible for everybody's jobs. But we don't have the energy to keep these things running. They're overpromising and under-delivering. We don't have the chips that are necessary. There's like weird circular financing going on, which makes it smell like a massive scam anyway. It seems like the bubble's about to burst. 80 to 85% of the economy is already in a recession. The only thing propping up the rest of it is this fucking spending on the AI bullshit. So yeah, it seems like a lot of malinvestment in the economy and a lot of idiots who don't know what the fuck they're doing. And we have a government now that's run by absolute bonobos and baboons, and they'll have no idea what to do when the crash comes. But here you have the bank of all banks, the bank that takes care of the other central bank, saying, yeah, this is not looking good. And that is a warning that everybody should take seriously. because I guarantee you they're not writing this shit for shits and giggles. They'd rather put out there the opposite perspective, but they can't because they know that would be incredibly dishonest. So buckle up, because if this isn't any indication, times are going to get rough, and they're going to get rough relatively soon. All right, y'all. That's the show, man. I love y'all very much, as always. You guys know the drill. Everybody do me a favor. Subscribe to the channel and click that bell icon. Also, sign up for Patreon if you haven't yet. It helps the show out massively. Remember, this is real independent media. I've never talked to an advertiser or done an ad read, and you guys have made that possible. So thank you to everybody who does support the show. You can also sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack, and go sub to Corin's World, the YouTube channel. Love you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.